winning streak. Now, the Buccaneers have won 3 in a row after a slow start themselves. This is a team that lives by its defense, and they need a victory today to move back into a tie for first place in the NFC Central. An important game for the Bucs head coach, Tony Dungy, who's on the field now with my partner, Matt Millen.
Thanks, Dick. Tony, this is a team that you understand. You played this Mike Holmgren offensive bunch, and one of the keys is the pace of the game. How do you handle that?
Yeah, you've got to be ready. They want to get off to a fast start and bury you in the first quarter. So we've worked on that all week, trying to stay up with that tempo.
Also, this noise is a problem. You benched the quarterback a few weeks ago. How has he responded?
He's really done great. I tell you, he handled it like a man, and he's come back and played really well. We haven't lost since he's been back in the lineup.
Good luck, Tony. Have a great game. Let's go over to Pam Oliver, who's standing with Mike Holmgren. Pam?
All right, thanks a lot, Matt. Mike, let me ask you, their defense probably the best you've faced. What problems do they present? I know you know them very well.
Well, they don't make mistakes, Pam. They play real solid. You have to earn every yard you get, and they're good at creating turnovers.
This place is loud. Joey Galloway, getting him more involved in the offense. Is that the plan this week?
Yeah, we're going to do some more of that. He's had a good week of practice. I think he's feeling more comfortable with things, and he's a good football player. I got to figure out ways to get him the ball.
Thanks, Mike. I'll let you go before we both go deaf. Back upstairs to Dick.
All right, Pam, 2 teams that came into the league as expansion entries back in 1976, getting set to square off at the Kingdome in just a few moments. Arizona leading the Giants and Buffalo defeating New England. Jacksonville, after trailing most of the game, leading Baltimore now, and the Minnesota Vikings headed for a victory if they can hold on over San Diego. Tennessee leading Cleveland, and the Cincinnati Bengals bringing an upset right now against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And as we mentioned, if the Vikings win, knowing that the Detroit Lions won on Thanksgiving Day, the Buccaneers would need a victory to get back into a 3-way tie in the NFC Central. The Seattle Seahawks winning the toss. John Kitna from Tacoma, Washington, and Central Washington, and got a great experience in NFL Europe, and 16 touchdown passes, 4th in the NFL.
And Dick, that's where I first met him, was over in Europe, and I watched him in practice, and I watched him, I had a chance to talk to him, knew the kind of kid he was, and I told him then, and this was no big deal, he was going to have a chance because you could see the kind of leadership abilities he had, and there's nothing, you know, he's just a football player. And all those things have pointed to his success here. The good news for Seattle is he's going to...
Tom Coughlin will go for it. Their down conversion.
I think there's no question. 3 minutes, 9 seconds left.
And lately the attitude has been improved for Tony Dungy's Buccaneers as well. But this is a key game. They have practically all winning teams to play the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I think in today's game, and we talked about the pace of the game right at the start with Tony Dungy, I think the way this game starts is important for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a lot of reasons. One of them is this crowd, which can be just deafening. All the years we've played there, there's times you can't even hear yourself think.
Seattle has won all 4 of the previous matchups against the Buccaneers, and the Seahawks getting the ball first. Martin Grammatical will kick off for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the hero last week with 4 field goals, including a 53-yard field goal to win it in a struggle with the Atlanta Falcons. And back deep, Amon Green, number 30, and Terry Joseph, number 28. And we're underway at the Kingdome, end over end, and retrieved by Green on the 12-yard line. And Ahmad Green, who's having problems holding on to the ball, tackled just shy of the 30-yard line. So John Kitna, 11-4 record as a starter since taking over the reins for the Seahawks. Up front, Walter Jones and Pete Kendall, a strong left side. Chris Gray is the center, Brian Habib, and Grant Williams is the right tackle. Ricky Waters having a marvelous year with Reggie Brown, receivers Derek Mays and Sean Dawkins, and Christian Fourier, the tight end. Joey Galloway is in the game as a 3rd wide receiver on first down from the 29. The pass to Fourier, and the tight end brings it out to the 36-yard line, and a gain of 7. Defensively for the Buccaneers, this is their strength. Marcus Jones is starting for Chidi Ahanotu, who was late for a meeting. and therefore not starting today. Brooks, Nickerson, and Quarles are the linebackers. Rondy Barber and Donnie Abraham, the cornerback. Damian Robinson and the very tough John Lynch, the safety. Second down and 3, and here is Ricky Waters driving close to the first down, maybe shy by a yard. John Lynch comes up to make the tackle.
And the one thing about this Tampa defense is the fact that they're very familiar with Mike Holmgren's offense. But the other side of that coin is that Holmgren's very familiar with Tony Dungy and the defense, and he'll know how to attack it. I think the interesting thing watching this group on tape, this Seattle offense, is you can see they're just growing, and they're just starting to be what they're going to be. The best thing they do is they don't hurt themselves.
Third down and 1. And the handoff to Green, and Green close to the first down. Derek Brooks, one of the outstanding performers on the Tampa Bay defense, was right there, and we'll see where they spot the ball.
Whenever a team plays this Tampa Bay defense, the word that's always stressed all week long in the running and passing game is patience. Because what Tampa Bay does to you is they're not going to give you a big play down the field. So they force you to have to be patient and say, we don't believe you can work the ball 70 or 80 yards down the field. We think you'll mess up in between.
On first down, Ricky Waters back in the lineup, picking up about 4 yards. And the tackle made by Rondy Barber. The Seahawks have won 5 in a row, and this is their largest division lead ever. They haven't been in the playoffs in 11 years, and that's the longest drought in the league.
There's a guy right there in that number 84, Joey Galloway. I think he's the wild card with this offense because I don't believe I know Mike Holmgren hasn't gotten into the offense yet, and a lot of teams are waiting to see exactly how that's going to play out.
Derek Mays goes in motion to the top. Second down and 6. A flag is down, and a pass is caught by Sean Dawkins. Coming off a big game last week at Kansas City, but there's a penalty marker down back at the 42-yard line.
And that's going to go against the Tampa Bay Bucs, who jumped right at the start. They were going to bring somebody off the corner. Mike Carey, the referee.
Offside defense, number 20.
Rondy Barber, the penalty, and a gain of 34.
Yeah, so much we're talking about patience. You have to have patience on both sides. And snap anticipation is one of them. Now, when you have that, this is a free play. And what you're going to see at the bottom, this is what's called, a cover 2. Right there in the middle, they had this linebacker kind of overran it. And he was able to get in the middle and make a big play, something that they don't normally do is give up big plays.
Hitting it a throw on first down, and the slant is complete to Mike Pritchard. And this Seattle team has a wide-ranging array of wide receivers. Rondy Barber making the tackle. And it is another first down for the Seahawks.
One way that they'll get to this slant is they'll run the first guy inside to draw the defender over, and then the outside man waits for him to clear it, and Kitna just has to be patient. He'll see it, just throw it right inside, and Pritchard, of course, picked up the first.
Seahawks and an impressive drive on the Buccaneers 12. Kitna. Pass in and out of the hands of Galloway, and it looked as if Galloway was there and had his hands on the ball. Will bring up second down.
They went with his zone blitz, and they had Brad Culpepper dropping back. And anytime you can throw at the dropping lineman, you have a chance to make a big play. You saw Culpepper came down. They had their chance, and Joey Galloway just dropped the ball, and that's not the way you want to start. Brad Culpepper is playing hurt today. Hurt him. In fact, they didn't even think he was going to play. And he went in, he's playing on a real sore heel. Can't really push off, but he's a gamer.
Second down and 10, and here is Ricky Waters.
Oh, nice hit.
And Ricky Waters, who gained 107 yards and scored 3 touchdowns last week for the first time in 5 years, getting 5 this time.
Dick, he knows this offense. He's very familiar with it, having been in San Francisco. And I mentioned earlier, it's a work, and it's in progress, and they're keeping on moving forward. But Ricky Waters knows how this thing works. And when he's really running well, he's more of a power guy now than he ever was this last year. He doesn't have the great speed to get outside, but he understands to turn his shoulders, as you saw it there, and get upfield.
Not that impressive in the red zone of the Seahawks. down and 5. Pittman looking for a receiver, having trouble, and finally throws it away. So the Buccaneers, with good coverage of the Tampa Bay Seattle receivers, and Warren Sapp putting good pressure on that time.
Well, where he wanted to go first was outside to Joey Galloway. And he had a chance, but a nice job of Donnie Abraham of falling off his coverage. And then he stayed with it because there was decent protection and no pressure. And, of course, he rolled back, and because of the coverage, he had to throw it out the back of the end zone. Sets up this chance at 3.
Todd Peterson, who is connected on 12 field goals in a row. This will be a 25-yard attempt. And the kick is good. And the Seahawks, scoring on their first possession of the game, lead the Buccaneers 3-0.
All right, Captain, we're going to have a
Capped by Peterson's 25-yard field goal. There is Dawkins, who had a season's high of 114 yards receiving last week. There's Riddell Anthony, who was disciplined after missing a team meeting last week and was inactive. He's back this week. And Chidi Ahanotu disciplined and not starting today's game for the Buccaneers. Here's Riddell Anthony on the return for Tampa Bay. Finds running room up the middle. And Riddell Anthony tripped up, but not before he gets into Seattle territory, where Sean Springs makes the tackle. That was a 39-yard kickoff return. We'll be right back.
to watch the wedge of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All of them have assignments. All of them have the man they're supposed to take. Right there, Robbie Abdullah does an excellent job of getting on the block. It opens that whole lane. Anytime you can create separation vertically or laterally, you have a chance at a big play. They took advantage of it.
And great field position for the Buccaneers to give the ball to Warwick Dunn, who has yet to really get on track as a rusher this year. Riddick Parker making the play in a loss of 2 yards. So Trent Dilfer, since he was benched for Eric Zier in Week 7, coming back and has led the Bucs to a 3-0 record since that time. Up front, Paul Gruber, George Diaz, Tony Mayberry, who's banged up, Frank Middleton, and Jerry Wunsch. Dunn and Allstott, speed and power in the backfield. Bert Emanuel and Jacquez Green are the wide receivers. And Dave Moore is the tight end. And Mike Allstott with a helmet problem out of the game. It's 2nd and 12.
I think he broke his chin strap.
Kevin McLeod, number 43, is in the game. And there's pressure on Dilfer, and down he goes. And that was Chad Brown.
That's the man of the defense who needs to get kicked up in the high gear, and he leads this group here.
An 8-yard loss up front. It's Daniels, Kennedy, Parker, who's playing in place of the injured Sam Adams, and Michael Sinclair. Brown with the sack with Anthony Simmons and Darren Smith, who's been injured and playing today. Chris Canty, who is starting at cornerback in place of Willie Williams, with Bellamy, Darrell Williams, and Sean Springs, the other cornerback. Brings up 3rd and 20. No blitz, but good pressure, and the pass up the middle is caught by Warwick Dunn, and Dunn gets back to the original line of scrimmage, and so the Buccaneers will have to punt on their first possession of the game.
Listen to Tony Dungy start right at the top of the game. He's talking about pace of the game. Well, pace of the game isn't only controlling the offense. It's getting your own pace offensively, and something that this Tampa Bay offense hasn't done really all season long. They need to establish themselves early and get some kind of pace going, because you can't just continue to go out there and keep letting your defense try to do it all game long.
Mark Royals will kick, and the leading punt returner in the AFC, Charlie Rogers, the rookie from Georgia Tech, is back, and the fair catch called at about the 11-yard line. 3-0 in favor of Seattle. We'll be right back. At the Kingdome with 8:30 to go in the first quarter, with Minnesota winning today and Detroit Thanksgiving Day. Tampa Bay needing a win to go back into a tie for first. The Buccaneers are 1-3 in the division. That's the worst record amongst the contenders. But they face the Vikings, Lions, and Packers at home in the month of December. But, Matt, they've got to take care of business today.
Yeah, there's no question. And don't forget about that Green Bay Packers team who's in San Francisco Monday night. They could be putting things together.
First down, and there's Ricky Waters, not much off the right side. A couple bringing up 2nd down.
Dick, against this Tampa Bay defense, and it's been said all season long whenever you play them, but it's a point to be made, and that is they run great. And so you're never going to really run with success continually outside. You have to square your shoulders and get up inside. And I think Ricky Waters understands that. Always liked Ricky Waters. He's one of the few guys who's kind of changed his style. He can be a slasher, but as he slowed down, he understands that he can be a power guy too.
He always wants the ball.
Love that. Always loved that against Mount.
Second down and 9, play action for Kitna. And this pass is caught. Sean Dawkins on the sideline. He's got a first down, and one of the players lost the helmet. One of the Buccaneers, and then a gain of 12 yards gets them out of trouble.
They came with a blitz with Damian Robinson, number 24, is going to show up. And they're going to have to pick up the blitz, and Ricky Waters understands that right away. And, you know, you don't have to be devastating, but you have to understand your assignment, get your body in front of him, and give the quarterback time to be able to make the throw. And that was as good as it came.
First down at the 24. Kitna stepping up in the pass up the middle, and incomplete. No receiver anywhere near that throw. And it'll bring up second and 10.
Someone else who's nowhere near the quarterback is Warren Sapp, number 99. And he's having an excellent year, but because of that, this is what he's going to get. You know, if you even smell Warren Sapp, you block him. Right there, they're 3-on-2, but they're going to make sure he doesn't get inside. The weak part of this offensive line is the right side, but particularly the inside three. Sapp, he can control that inside, so they've got to be able to take people to him.
Here's the pitch to Ricky Waters, giving ground and being chased by Steve White. Good pursuit by the defensive end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Just underscores the fact that they all can run. I mean, this whole group is built for speed, and actually they're a pretty good turf team.
But they have had trouble here on the West Coast. They have an agonizing record. They've only won twice in 24 seasons on the West Coast, and this is a team that's trying to get it turned around. Monty Kiffin, the defensive coordinator, very energetic guy.
The match professor.
Go to read his blackboard sometime when we go down to Tampa. Third down and 12. Kitna getting out of trouble, running for it, and John Kitna is hit, diving head first, but short of the first down, and it was Derek Brooks along with Rondy Barber, and that will bring up fourth down.
Now, remember, we showed you Warren Sapp, and they're going to make sure he's not going to be there. In fact, just speaking the other day with Mike Holmgren, he said, well, you know, we'll take care of Sapp. I mean, like, that's a foregone conclusion. Well, you can see exactly what they're doing. They're going to chip him with a bat. They don't quite trust him, and then one guy takes him, the other guy takes him, chip him with the bat. He's not going to make a play, which puts, of course, pressure on the other guys to get there.
Jeff Beagles to kick it away, and Carl Williams back deep for the Bucs. Beagles, who has struggled earlier this year and seemed to come out of it last week in Kansas City, gets off a beauty, and a fair catch called for by Williams. That was a 46-yard punt by Jeff Beagles. Back here at the Kingdome, and the loudness increases as the Buccaneers, starting from the 22-yard line with their second possession. The pass is complete to Riddell Anthony for a gain of about 5 yards. So the AFC West and the Seahawks finding themselves with a robust 3-game lead over Kansas City and Oakland, who are playing today. And the rest, San Diego losing to the Minnesota Vikings. So Seattle, in Mike Holmgren's first year, trying to get to the playoffs, and they look good for that. And a division looks pretty solid, too. A title there. Second down and 5. And here's Mike Allstar, the power runner, and it's head-on-head. No gain.
Let me switch caps here for a second, and then let me turn into a pro personnel guy. If I'm evaluating this Tampa Bay offense, first thing that jumped out at me was they haven't really gotten better in the last 3 years. So the question obviously becomes why. And one of the reasons, there are a bunch of reasons, but one of the reasons is the inside three of their offensive line have not progressed. Particularly the two offensive guards, Diaz and Middleton. They are not playing up to their ability. They need to play better if this offense is going to be anything. They really got to pick it up.
And, of course, the focus is always on the quarterback, Trent Dilfer, right behind those three. Third down and 5. And here is Dilfer with the pass. It's caught by Dave Moore, the tight end, and a first down into Seattle territory. Moore, who's a versatile player, long snapper, blocker, and receiver, gets 26 yards before Darrell Williams.
He gets 26 yards in the completion because look at inside. Look at this. Now there's time. Step and throw. Nice job by the inside three. Dilfer has a chance to be able to look at him downfield, see him all the way across, wait for him to come open. That's a tremendous luxury.
Very often, Moore is the forgotten man in this offense. So the Bucs have a first down at the 47, and the pass up the middle, and it's caught again by Moore in a gain of about 6 yards to the 42.
Dick, you mentioned about the forgotten man on offense. Well, my personal opinion, again, changing hats, I think Chad Brown is the forgotten man on the defense. I think for a couple of reasons. I think Chad Brown has something you can't teach. He's got instinct and feel, and that's something that's hard to measure. It's also hard to coach because you don't know exactly when it's going to show up.
Second down and 5, and the handoff to Warwick Dunn, trying to spin his way to a first down and gets close. And right now, for an NFL update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles. JB?
Hey, Dick, a big day for Chris Carter with the Minnesota Vikings. Take a look at the flea flicker. Jeff George goes deep to Chris Carter. He hauls it in. Second touchdown of the day. He had 11 catches, 136 yards, 2 touches. Fourth player in NFL history with 900 receptions. Back to Dick and Matt.
How much does Carter enjoy having Jeff George throw him the ball?
I think he enjoys the fact that he can go to the sideline and tell a guy, hey, I'm going to beat this guy. And, you know, Chris Carter's not a speed guy. As you saw in that touchdown right there, he's a position guy. And with Jeff George's arm, even if you're not open, you're open.
That's true, and that goes for the throwing to Randy Moss as well. There you see the Buccaneers are short of first down.
There's an extra link in that chain. That's like home and away chain link. Look at that. Now, believe me, when it's the other team, the extra link's not there. But when it's the home team, all of a sudden it shows up.
Are you linking the home team to the visiting team here?
But and look at it, see this? There's the mysterious extra link.
Third down and short.
Oh, nice
and
hit.
a quarterback sneak by Dilfer.
There was great surge inside.
He didn't need much, though. And they're going to measure again, it appears. Mike Carey calling for the change.
I don't know if that was Cortez Kennedy in there or Parker or Daniels or one of those inside guys got a really good push right over the left guard. Somebody flashed, and that could be the difference in this play. Watch right down in here. Yeah, that's who it was. It was Cortez Kennedy. Boy, he had great takeoff.
But where they spotted the ball, man, it appears as if Dilfer got the first down, but they're going to measure nonetheless.
Dick, I always believe that you judge a team's toughness. Oh, which link do they got? Now they have the short link out there.
They had to measure twice in a row. It's hard to get those links in and out that fast.
Cut it twice, and it's still short. I've always believed you measure a team's toughness by short yardage and goal line defense and offense. How tough you are. And in this game, the league changes all the time, but the one thing that's always a constant is you have to have good toughness to win.
Tampa Bay has been very dry in the first quarter. They have fallen behind in most of their games. But Warwick Dunn, whose biggest day of the year has been 82 yards rushing on the ground. They really haven't been able to spring him on the ground. Gets 6 yards, bringing up 2nd and 4.
Warwick Dunn is a rare guy. And Warwick Dunn is one of my favorite guys in the National Football League because he's more than a football player. You know the story about losing his mom. He has essentially become the father of his siblings. And he's taken on a major role, having watched them grow up and being their parent. And it's not easy. He's figuring out how to be a player and a parent at a young age.
Mike Longstop is the back, but the quick pass out to Riddell Anthony. And Anthony makes the reception, and it appears to be enough for another Tampa Bay first down. Chris Canty making the tackle, and of course Canty is a defensive back that the Buccaneers are aware of and may be looking at today.
Well, if you heard Terry Bradshaw on our pregame show, he was aware of it as well. He made a very good point with Williams out and Canty in. That's somebody who this Tampa Bay offense could take advantage of. And it's somebody who they'll be noticing all game long.
5 for 5 here in the first quarter for Trentfield. First down on the Seattle 26. And there is a fake end around, and Warren Dunn carries and picks up about 2.5 yards on the play.
Warren Dunn, I saw him right before the game, and he's been a little down, I think. I think he's a little frustrated. He's not getting the carries. He's not getting the yardage. But you can see, I think you take those numbers, and I think you throw them out. Because once the inside three, particularly those guards, start playing well, his number's going to pick up. Because he is a guy who runs exceptionally well inside, especially for a little guy.
2nd and 8 on the 24 of the Seahawks, and the give is to Warren Dunn. And Seattle not letting Dunn get away as they're not letting Warren Sapp get in. And no gain on the play as Anthony Simmons and Chad Brown are right there, bringing up 3rd down and long for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, the other guy who keeps showing up is that Darrell Williams. He's around the ball a lot. Yeah, it's hard to judge safety. Yeah, actually, defensive backs. The one area you can really judge, obviously, is the measurables. But how often they show up around the play? How often are they around the ball making the play?
3 receivers lined up to the left for Trent Dilfer on 3rd and 8. And here comes the blitz and the fade, and it's incomplete, and a flag goes down. Bert Emanuel, the intended receiver, and Chris Canty will be called for the pass interference flag, and the Buccaneers will have 1st and goal inside the 5.
I may have to disagree on this one. He had position. Both of them have the right to the ball. Let's watch it. Chris Canty's working outside, like you mentioned, on Emanuel. Hold the outside. You're in good shape. Good shape.
You're right.
I disagree with that call.
It was Emanuel over his back.
Now they just looked up at the big board in the stadium, and that's why you're hearing all these boos.
And this conference indicates that this is not a cut-and-dry flag right now.
Pass interference on both teams. Number 83 and number 26.
I love it.
And it should be number 87, not number 83.
Yeah, we're not wrong. They are.
All right, time is run down, and that is the end of the 1st quarter here at the Kingdome with the score, the Seahawks 3 and the Buccaneers nothing. Fox NFL Sunday will continue right after these messages. In favor of the Seahawks as we start the 2nd quarter, and talking with Mike Holmgren, who we have covered many times with Green Bay, and he said he was a bit surprised, but the road record, he said, was impressive how they have won in tough places on the road this year.
And I think that's part of the reason why he believes this 8-2 record is so tough. You know, to be honest with you, you can look at them and you can make a case that they could have lost a bunch of those games, but I think the impressive thing is they're getting better. And the key to every team, in every Super Bowl run that I've ever been involved with, is that the team and the players individually start to get better as the season went on, and I believe that their road wins last week, especially in Kansas City, that's indicative that they are.
They won in Pittsburgh earlier in the year, although the Steelers have really fizzled as of late. And this is a team winning in Chicago. They have gained confidence, and in talking with John Kitna, he said he came in the first mini-camp meeting and was not afraid to mention the word Super Bowl because that is the goal. He didn't say we can make the playoffs, we can be contenders. He mentioned Super Bowl, and the team took notice. 3rd down and 8 for the Bucs as we start the 2nd quarter. On the Seattle 24, Dilfer's pass is tipped and then caught by Anthony, and now incomplete. Anthony had a chance to catch it. He did not. And an incomplete pass. Well, that was Bert Emanuel, that is. And so 4th down coming up.
See what they're doing with Chad Brown? This is something that you have to do with them. They're moving him around. The ball got tipped off the shoulder. It was a ball that was thrown low. Bert Emanuel had a chance. They should have been caught. The ball should have been caught. Trent Dilfer knew it. Really, it's on him because the ball came off low and off of Cortez Kennedy's shoulder.
So Martin Gramatica from Argentina will kick a 42-yard field goal attempt. It is long enough, and the kick is good, and the Buccaneers have tied it up. So both teams' defenses have stiffened, and it's been a battle of field goals early in the 2nd, 3-3. Gramatica ties the game with a 42-yard field goal. Dick Stockton along with Matt Millen and Pam Oliver. 11 plays, 54 yards, and Dilfer, only incompletion was the 3rd down pass that was tipped and not caught. So now the Seahawks will get the ball back. Dramatica will kick off for Tampa Bay. Ahman Green and Kerry Joseph back deep. And the kick heading over for Kerry Joseph, former Redskin and Bengal, and he is upended after getting to the 24 by Don Davis. Well, here's the lineup next week on Fox. The Redskins and the Lions, where the Redskins own the Lions in their rivalry. Packers and Bears, 49ers and Bengals. Some of you will see the Eagles and the Cardinals. The coverage begins at noon Eastern with the pregame show, 9 o'clock Pacific.
That will be a good game. Redskins and Lions. The Lions are going to score some points because that Redskins defense has a tough time. Even though the Lions are struggling in the run game, they're going to, that's Jermaine Crowell and Herman Moore back healthy. They're going to, it's going to be tough. Gus Farrat going back there possibly.
First down, and under pressure, the pass to Reggie Brown, and Brown picking up a couple of yards on the play, but the Lions seem to think that Charlie Batch is going to be ready to play in that game. I'm sure Farrat would like to go against his ex-team.
Well, they'll get Charlie Batch back. I'm a fan of Charlie Batch. I think he's a player who's got great poise. He's unflappable. He's getting better. Much like this offense with Galloway. It's an offense that's going to continue to get better, and I'm interested to see how they're going to get him involved in this offense, fully integrated into the offense.
2nd and 7 on the 27 of Seattle. Kidna under pressure and throws the ball away, and had the good presence of mind to do that. Reggie Brown was the intended receiver.
That's Chidi Hanatu, who's back in the game also, but if they're going to get pressure, the place to get it is over that right tackle. The left tackle, Walter Jones, is a pretty darn good player. In fact, I think he might have the nicest speed I've seen in an offensive tackle. Grant Williams, a free agent guy who they threw in there, who struggled early, but he's gotten better, but he needs help. He needs to get himself in the weight room. But this guy here, this guy has really, really sweet feet.
3rd down and 7 on the 27-yard line. And pressure put on Kidna, and Kidna's pass is caught by Derek Mays. Shut out last week at Kansas City, and coming in leading the Seahawks in Kansas, gets 12 yards and a first down.
You have to have yourself time to throw, and if you're Walter Jones, you do it with your feet. Look, just look down the bottom. I mean, the guy, his feet are never out of position. And if you're a fan at home and you're wondering what that means, it means his feet are always in front of the guy. He just instinctively does that. When you do that, you give your quarterback time. You can find Mays crossing underneath. Those things may not smell the best, but they work the best.
First down at the 39. And Kidna lost this one, and another great pass made by Mays. Derek Mays, who was acquired from the Packers for a 7th-round pick when Galloway became a holdout, grabbed this one for 15 yards with Ronde Barber all over him.
This is control in the pocket. Remember, Kidna saw something. He changed it at the line of scrimmage. And he got up there and he knew exactly where he wanted to go. Barber is holding the inside. He's going to try to throw it to Mays from the outside. Derek Mays is a good story because up in Green Bay, he's basically worn out his welcome. They were ready to give him the kibosh.
First down at the 46, and the give is for Ricky Waters. And Waters, with a good hard run, picks up about 5 yards before Hardy Nickerson is right there, bringing up a 2nd down and about 5.
Derek Mays is in Green Bay, and he hasn't really fulfilled their expectations. And they're about to say, okay, see you later. And so Joey Galloway holds out. And Derek Mays becomes available, and he understands the system, and he knows Mike Holmgren, and you don't have to coach him and teach him, and they take him and they throw him in the system, and guess what? He becomes their most productive player. Good story.
And they got Joey Galloway in the slot to the right on 2nd down and 6. Kidna looking for one of the receivers, and a defender gets by Kidna. He runs for him and gets the first down. John Kidna finally brought down by rookie Anthony McFarland, but not before Seattle gets the first down at the 36.
Part of maturing as a quarterback is knowing when to throw it and when to run it, and seeing the field. And when you have coverage down the field and there's nowhere to go, you can do one of two things. You can throw it, dump it off, or you take off and run. And what Kidna, where Kidna's grown, really, is in that part. He's actually better at scrambling than he's shown. As he gets more comfortable, he's going to be even better at that.
Galloway goes out of the game, replaced by Reggie Brown, and Kickner really got his chance from Dennis Erickson, the previous coach, and it was Jamie Christian, who was the nephew of Dennis Erickson, who said, look, I saw this guy in college. You've got to give this guy a trial, and that's when Dennis Erickson discovered him. First down on the 36-yard line, and here is Ricky Waters with a good juke, but the hole closes in a hurry and a pickup of about 4 yards. There you see Galloway and Mike Pritchard coming back in the game for Seattle.
That was pretty quiet. I'm surprised.
I think they yell when Tampa Bay has the ball. They're well instructed. Pass intended for Galloway, broken up by Rondy Barber, and that'll bring up third down.
That was well played by Rodney Barber, but you know, you're going to run a slant with Joey Galloway, and you're going to jump it like he's going to jump it right here. This is anticipation. See, you know the next one is? It's called the slant and go. When you get a guy with speed like Joey Galloway, you're going to jump that ball. You better believe I'm going to pump and let him get up the field, because there's nobody in that field defensively who's going to run with that guy.
Third down and 7. Galloway was a holdout for 101 days before signing.
Checking at the line again.
And flags are down, about 3 of them. And a false start penalty is the preliminary signal against the Seahawks.
False start. Offense, number 79. 5 yards. It remains third down.
Right tackle Grant Williams.
There's a lot of things going on at the line of scrimmage. Kid that gets up there and sees what he wants, sees what he has, then you change it. And you're changing not only how you're running the routes and what you're trying to take advantage of coverage, but also your protections up front. And there are adjustments that have to be made. A lot of mental gymnastics going on. Sometimes the concentration level not high, and you get your offside.
Third down and 12, and here comes Ahanotu coming in, and finally Pittman is sacked, but it's Anthony McFarland who was chosen on the first round out of LSU, who gets the first sack of the game for Tampa Bay, a loss of 6.
They're going to watch him down here, but here's the key. Here's the guy who makes the play. It's Chidi Ahanotu who makes him step up inside. Now, once he does that, McFarland can come off and make the tackle.
Ahanotu disciplined because he was late for a team meeting, did not start. But you can be sure he'll be in there most of the way. Jeff Beagles to kick it away for the Seahawks. Good high kick. And the Seahawks trying to keep it in play, and they do.
Very, very, very well done.
Fabian Bowen was right down there.
You talk about sweet feet, Dick. Now, he did a couple things you won't even see. The first thing was they tried to block him. That was up here. Second thing, he caught the ball. Aware that this puts him in the end zone for the touchback, then he just tiptoes and gets rid of it.
A great play on coverage by Fabian Bowen. Tampa Bay will have the ball on their own 1-yard line, and you can be sure they'll be hearing the crowd from deep into the end zone.
Watch the great play by Bowen. You know, watch him on the outside. First, you have to beat the first guy, so he decided to use speed. Now he has to beat the blocker and have the awareness to keep his feet in. Catches the ball, knowing that if he touches that line, hey, this guy's arm goes up and down, and he's on the 20-yard line, but that's a great play. You are on the team. Everybody's on the team for different reasons. This is his role. And that's as good a play as he can make.
Talk about tightrope. Passing out of the end zone, incomplete. Intended for Carl Williams. And the Buccaneers deciding no shotgun today. They will be under center for all of their plays because of the crowd noise.
And just like you mentioned earlier, this is this crowd's pretty good. I mean, they know they have them down there in that end zone. They know how loud it can be. So they got louder all of a sudden. They came to the line of scrimmage and got louder. I just love playing in this place. You could just feed off the energy.
Did you win much?
No, we always got killed.
Handoff to Allstott, trying to power his way, and he gets about to the 4-yard line, bringing up third down with under 9.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. It's been a defensive battle thus far, all tied 3-3.
There was some great games appearances, great players who played on this field, and a lot of times you go back and you look, and there's a player right there, Kurt Warner, who is as good a running back as there's been. And people tend to forget him because of his knee injury, but that guy was a great, great player. And he could have been a Hall of Famer had he had more time.
Third down and 7, that's for sure. And here is Dilfer, and he's going up top. And the pass is thrown out of bounds. Jacquez Green covered by Sean Springs. But that pass was out of bounds all the way, and it'll bring up fourth down and a tough situation for Royals now.
Dick, that situation is made possible by this coverage. This is a matchup I'm interested in seeing. See, Sean Springs quitting right there. Did you see that? He's like, he's not going to throw it to him, and then the ball came. And I think that's something we keep our eyes on because both of them can run, but they believe that Springs can shut them down.
Here's Royals, has to kick it in a hurry and gets off a terrific kick. And a fair catch called for by Charlie Rogers. The Seahawks will have the ball in Tampa Bay territory after the 41-yard kick. World's biggest deal maker, Tom Cruise, Oscar winner Cuba Gooding Jr., Action's Jay Moore and Renee Zellweger in the world broadcast premiere of Jerry Maguire, Wednesday at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
If you were a money player, you want to be shown just like this guy. Forget the money. Forget the money. You play. You play. All that stuff takes care of itself.
First down at the 45 of Tampa Bay. Good field position. And Josh Kitten's pass thrown underneath, and it's caught by Ricky Waters for a gain of about 8 yards.
There's a shoe. John Lynch ran right out of his shoe. Here, that's the reason right there. See what he just did? He slipped it back in. I think that's wrong. I think for that reason, that's why I always spatted my shoes. You can't have any kind of movement in your foot. Spatting would be when you tape around that ankle like this. There's a spat job. What that does is it allows you to be able to cut, and that thing's not, you don't have any movement inside.
Second down and 3.
Shoe companies hate it.
I can imagine. And here is Ricky Waters off the left side, and he'll have enough for the first down.
Good eyes. Nice eyes and vision by Ricky Waters because what he saw was Steve White, the defensive end, take an inside move. And as soon as he saw that, as soon as he saw White go inside, you're going to bounce it back outside. Watch. White comes in. Boom, you go back outside. Artie Nickerson's got to be able to get there along with Brooks, and when he disappears and creates that short corner, your eyes take you there.
Waters coming into the game, third in the AFC in rushing. He's been over 1,000 yards. 5 of his 7 years in the league. First down at the 33, pass knocked away by Donnie Abraham, intended for Derek Mays. Good defensive play by Abraham, who sealed Tampa Bay's win last week with a touchdown off an interception.
This is as good as it gets in terms of anticipation. You can anticipate because he's playing off. And because of film study, that's beautiful. Because of film study, he knows that that's going to be a comeback. If you're playing tight man-to-man, it's tough to anticipate because you're watching the guy. But when you have that kind of cushion, Dick, you can see it and make the break.
That was textbook all the way. There you see the Seahawks with a field goal on their first possession, but punting the ball away the next 2 times. They face second down and 10. And the pitch is to Ricky Waters with a head of steam, and Ricky Waters gets the first down, close to the 20-yard line before Steve White tackles him from behind. That was good for 11.
Well, with Steve White's end, who they went around. They fake inside to draw the end. And once you have no force out there, you just flip it. Now, this is a play that the Raiders first used against the Green Bay Packers early in the season. See, you get him to bite inside. Now, once he bites, it's the quick pitch. And then you have the corner. Nicely done there by Walter Jones. Nice job outside by Sean Dawkins. And then you're down into the secondary. You also have a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Damian Robinson, 24, who's hobbling off the field.
Robinson, the free safety, is replaced by Shevin Smith, number 30.
Dick, that play, this league is a great league of copying. If it works, everybody will put it in. I also noticed all the Chicago Bears have those screens that everybody's saying, now that rinky-dink. I see them showing up all over the league. This play here, the Raiders had it early. Everybody has it in their offense.
Seattle has tripled Tampa Bay's totals in first down. They have one now on the 22. John Kitna going up top, and the pass tips away. And downfield, it looks like Derek Brooks was defending against Christian Fourier, the tight end. And that'll bring up 2nd and 10. Joey Galloway going back in, caught one pass last week in only his 2nd game back from his holdout.
3, he puts the 3 up. That means there's 3 wide receivers. When you have those 3 wide receivers, sometimes you can Mays and Dawkins and also Galloway. You can isolate a little bit more with his speed.
Here comes the blitz, and Kitna has to get rid of it in a hurry.
And a flag, Dick.
No flag coming. It was Derek Brooks with the blitz. And
oh, okay. 32 is right there. That's why they didn't call the flag. Then with the blitz right inside. It opens up beautifully, and there's going to be a screen set up. Oh, I don't know. That should have been a flag. Should have been a flag.
No flag.
Flag.
John Kitna getting some pressure, and it looks like Monty Kiffin is throwing the sink at Mr. Kitna. And there is Mike Holmgren yelling for his team to call a timeout, and they finally get the message. So a timeout called by the Seahawks. With 6:35 remaining in the 2nd quarter, we're all tied at 3-3. Return, replaced, as we said, by Shevin Smith at free safety. 3rd down and 10 for the Seahawks on the Buccaneers 22. Joey Galloway in motion, pressure up the middle, John Lynch. And many of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming in clean several times on John Kitna, and now a flag is thrown, and a 2nd one goes down.
I wonder if Ricky Waters ping-ponged the first flag. I wonder if they were calling him there. See, the rule states. Let's see what the call is.
There was no foul for intentional grounding. The quarterback was out of the pocket, and the ball got to the line of scrimmage. However, there is an unsportsmanlike foul on number 32.
I thought they were going to call
15
that.
yards. It's downtown.
Personally, I don't think that's a good call on Ricky Waters. The flag was in the air, and he just kind of ping-ponged it back like it. Here's the rule. Lynch is going to come, and he's going to have the pressure on him, okay? They're going to try to throw his little screen outside. The quarterback has to be outside. He has to be outside where the tight end would be lined up. He has to be outside, and the ball has to be at or beyond the line of scrimmage, okay? So he's going to be past that area, and the ball is at the line of scrimmage, so that call is good. Second part of it is, as that flag was thrown, Ricky Waters was walking by, and he just popped it out of the air as you'd return like a badminton shot or something like that, and they threw a flag on him. And personally, I think that's a bad call because I've seen a lot worse in this league. A lot worse.
Well, that's true, but, you know, it's...
I mean, it was kind of nonchalant. There was no end.
That made it 4th down. Unsportsmanlike contact does not require replay of the down. 4th down.
So it's 4th down, and now what that does is put more pressure on the Seahawks if they had intended to try a field goal for Todd Peterson. And Jeff Siegels is coming in to kick the ball away. So any chance the Seahawks had of trying for 3 went by the board with that penalty by Waters. So John Lynch with the pressure on Kitna, and now Siegels to kick it away. Carl Williams is deep for the Bucs. Eagles trying to use touch in this case, and it goes into the end zone for a touchback. So the Tampa Bay Bucs defense holds fast once again. And holding the Seahawks to a field goal on their first drive and then stuffing them from then on. It's a 3-3 game. And this is the kind of score and the field position back and forth game that Tony Dungy likes to play. Bucs ball on the 20-yard line, first down. Trent Dilfer is smothered by a sea of blue jerseys. Matt LeBounty, former Green Bay Packer.
Matt LeBounty should turn around and thank his coverage. He's working on once. He's doing a nice job. He's able to get that arm under, but because a little bit of push inside from Cortez Kennedy, LeBounty coverage down the field, he can pick that sack up.
LeBounty was traded to Seattle several years ago for Eugene Robinson, who helped the Green Bay Packers win a Super Bowl. There's Frank Middleton, the right guard, who is up and leaving, shaken up and replaced by Kevin Doggins, number 65. That offensive line has been banged up the last several weeks.
And they lost Odom, and now Doggins is in for Middleton, and that's where they were already weak, and that just opens things up more for those inside pass rushes.
Second down and 18. Warwick Dunn going in motion to the right. The handoff is to Mike Allstott. And the Buccaneers have not been able to do anything on the ground thus far. Riddick Parker, playing in place of Sam Adams, is right there.
And if you look at the offensive line, they just remember this is generally an interior running game, and they like to get pushed, but there's no push. They're going to try a trap. That's very, very well done right there. Took it on and turned it back inside. Because he did that, forced to go back outside. There's no place to run. They're just getting no movement at the line of scrimmage.
3rd and 17. Pressure on Dilfer. They pick it up. And the pass intended for Bert Emanuel is incomplete and well covered downfield by Chris Candy. So once again, Dilfer tries to go deep on 3rd and long, comes up empty, and a punting situation.
Well, they wanted to go after Chris Candy, and they tried to isolate it with Bert Emanuel, but with nowhere in close. Nice job by Candy getting his hands on. Look at the position. Look at his head. Very well done. Look when the guy looks. He didn't look. It was perfect. It couldn't be played better than Chris Candy had right there.
Came in the 4th quarter last week and had an interception. Now Mark Royals with the kick. Booms it in the air, and a fair catch called for by Charlie Rogers on the Seahawks 45-yard line. Well, Fox Sports proudly presents Olympic and world champion athletes in the most dynamic head-to-head competition of the season. Rivals become teammates in the Grand Slam of Skating Pro Super Teams Challenge. The second round coming up next Sunday on Fox. Check your local listing.
Nothing like a triple axel to get you through the day. That's what I always say. Or then again, maybe not.
Or a triple Salchow if you're so inclined.
Can't even spell it. This Tampa Bay defense really has found itself on their side of the field the majority of the day. They've been playing on the short end.
Seahawks on their 45. Quick count in the pass, and it's intercepted. And Donnie Abraham picks it off. Joey Galloway was the intended receiver, and Donnie Abraham, who clinched last week's win against Atlanta with an interception, gives the Buccaneers the ball on their 45.
This is the same thing. The anticipation we were talking about, again, because you're playing off, you can drive that ball once you determine what it is. Look at the cushion. See, all that means is you have time to react and time to break. Kidna helped him. See his eyes? He never looked anywhere else. Telegraphed that thing. Thought he was going to be able to get the slant on with Galloway, but because he stared it down, Abraham took advantage of it.
Actually, he picked off 2 last week, so that's 3 in the last 2 weeks. First down, and the handoff is to Mike Allstott, who can't get on track. A loss on the play of about 1.5 yards. Chad Brown was right in there with good penetration.
Well, they looks like they almost came with a blitz. Either that or somebody read it very well, because McLeod got stuffed in the backfield. And Allstott had to redirect right at the line of scrimmage. And you can see it's second and whatever it is, like 11 or 12. Anytime you're getting that kind of penetration on the offensive side of the ball, it's not a good sign for your offense.
2nd and 12 on the 44. And the handoff again to Allstott, and Mike Allstott getting close to midfield for a gain of 3. Cortez Kennedy on the play. The Buccaneers have won 2 games without scoring an offensive touchdown this year, so including a 6-3 win over the Bears. So this score to their liking as we get under 4 minutes.
Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator, and there's a lot of things that are going on when you're the coordinator. One of the things you have to be able to do is you have to be able to hang your hat on one thing, and they've not been able to do that at all season long. What do we do best? We work with that. Well, they haven't really had any facet of the game that's been consistent.
3rd down and 7. Here's Sinclair trying to get in on Dilfer, and everyone else does after that. Cortez Kennedy finally puts the sack. Lamar King, who picked up his first career sack a week ago, and so that is the 3rd time the Seahawks have gotten to Trent Dilfer here in the first half.
Dick, they had contained, and they collapsed the pocket. And there was no place to throw the ball. It was 3rd and long. So you had to hold on to the ball for a while, go to the five-step drop, so it's not like you could get rid of it quick.
Mark Royals kicking, and Charlie Rogers will return this one, starting from the 19-yard line, but good coverage by the Buccaneers, and Rogers is down inside the 30-yard line. You know, early you would say, Matt, that these teams are feeling each other out, but they still are, and we're almost close to halftime.
Yeah, and they're starting to know each other, and it takes a while to get familiar with each other. But once you are familiar, things change. Like, I was so familiar with this Seahawks team, when I came back in here, some things flashed back, and the one thing that flashed back was this great run by Bo Jackson. And it was one of the rare times that the Raiders were able to defeat the Seahawks team. And he ran, and from this play on, we always called this the Bo Jackson tunnel. And so when I came out today, I said, where the heck is that Bo Jackson tunnel? And there it is. I think if you look quick, you can still see Bo running.
And the fans are always kind to you as you get under that tunnel, as the pass to Ricky Waters off his fingertip.
Oh, no, that was the other tunnel. See, there was the Bo Jackson tunnel and the Hey Miller, you stink tunnel. There was a guy my rookie year down on the other tunnel, and I walked out after I made a tackle, and this guy stood up and he screamed at me, "Hey, Miller, you stink!" And every year for 10 years that I walked into the tunnel, right over in here, every year that I walked into that tunnel, that same guy stood and yelled the same thing, and we actually became friends, and I used to wave to him all the time.
Is he there today?
I don't know. I was afraid he might say I stink again.
2nd and 10, and Kitna gets hit, and that time it was Hardy Nickerson putting the pressure on. Both teams' defenses putting pressure on the other quarterback and doing a good job of it.
Yeah, well, one group that's not stinking here today is both these defenses. They're both playing very well, and they're both defenses are being called aggressively. They're not leaving anything to chance. That time they brought Hardy Nickerson. You also saw Derek Brooks come. You've seen John Lynch come. You've seen a myriad of blitzes from the crazy professor on the other side, the defensive coordinator, Monty Kiffin.
3rd down and 10. 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Kitna taking the drop, stepping up, and the pass is intercepted. And it's Derek Brooks, the linebacker, with the interception, the 2nd of the game. And the Buccaneers will get the ball at the 25 of Seattle.
Kitna never saw him. He was looking for Fourier on a crossing route underneath. And a nice drop by Derek Brooks. Watch, Fourier's down here, right in here. He's going to try to hit him back inside. Here was Fourier at the top. Mays was also there. Kitna was looking at the route and never saw the coverage. He threw it right to him.
You know, Kidna has not had a game, Matt, where he has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns in any game this year. But he's got 2 picks, no touchdown passes, and a first down for the Buccaneers. And here's Warwick Dunn. He's trapped. Tries to get a couple of yards, fumble. Yep. And it's recovered by Tampa Bay.
Second down. The umpire was right there on top of it. Daniels had it. Watch Simmons. Overruns him. He cuts back inside, just lowers his shoulder, and the ball comes out. Ball's flopping around. Right there, Daniels had it, but it just, he just couldn't quite get his hands on it. George Diaz recovered that, I believe, 64.
All right, so it's second down and 11. And now the Buccaneers are going to let the clock run down to 2 minutes with second and 11 coming up. So 2 interceptions by the Buccaneers, trying to break the tie before intermission.
No one kidding, he'll regroup.
Frank Middleton is back in at right guard for the Buccaneers, second and 11. And here's Warwick Dunn looking for an opening up the middle, gets to the 22, already in the good field goal position for Martin Gramatica if it comes down to that. There's Gramatica, who has already kicked a 42-yard field goal here in the second quarter to tie the game, and Dunn limps off the field. That is not good news for the Buccaneers, one of the few weapons they have on offense. Third down and 7. Most of the time, the Bucs have been 3 and out. Here's Dilfer, and he's going, and wide open, dropping the pass is Carl Williams, or Riddell Anthony. Anthony had it and dropped it, and he had beaten the defender.
You wonder how he got open? Watch him working on Merton Hanks. This is known affectionately as a pick. They tried to pick Merton Hanks, and Canty couldn't come off it in time, and so the football gods got him back. Because that's an illegal play. You can't pick. And because you can't pick, they zapped him. The ball shot. You got to make that count.
Well, the Bucs don't get that many opportunities.
No, I mean that's going to look like an incompletion for Dilfer, but it's a touchdown.
40-yard field goal is good by Gramatica to give the Buccaneers a 6-3 lead. So they've already won a game this year by that score against the Bears on October the 24th, and we have 1 minute and 12 seconds remaining in the half, and Seattle has 2 timeouts remaining.
Nick, you're Riddell Anthony, you're a young player, and you have all these abilities, and you want to be able to be a big play player. And the ball, and you have a quarterback who's struggling. And that's inexcusable. You've got to make a play when you have a chance. It comes all different ways. Fabian Bowens had a chance to make a big play. That's a big play. Del Anthony had a shot to make a big play, and he dropped it. So he was over there, though, just to let him know and calm him down and talk him through is Dilfer.
So the Bucs do get something out of that interception by Reggie Brooks. And there is an unusual scene.
Yeah, I see more of that now. I don't get that one. Jumping up and down before you go out. I see a lot of teams doing that. I don't know what it means other than the fact that they're good at jumping.
And they do it together. That may be the key.
It's been kind of a quiet after his first sack for Chad Brown. He's been kind of quiet. Chidiahana, too, getting a stretch.
So 1 minute 12 to go. I'm on Green backbeat. And Gramatica with a low swiver picked up at the 30-yard line and dropped by Poirier with the return to the 40-yard line. Let's take a look at the playoff situation in the NFC. Right now, the division leaders are St. Louis, Detroit, and Washington. Minnesota winning today. Tampa Bay in the 5th slot right now in a lead, and Dallas, there you see the rest. Green Bay 5-5, and Arizona and the Giants 5-6, with the Cardinals beating the Giants today. First and 10 at the 38. Eric Mays in motion. Kitna's pass caught at the 45 by Mays and short of the first down by about 3. Hurry up with under a minute to go for Seattle. Short drop, and the swing pass is incomplete. It was intended for Waters, and it stops the clock with 45 seconds to go in the game.
That's not a bad incompletion. That's all right. You just live for another down. You still have 2 timeouts. You're still 3rd and short. You're trying to get a little bit of rhythm. You want to be able to at least get into field goal range here. So you need about 25, 30 yards. 10, 20, about 30 yards. 25 to 30 yards.
Well, you saw Kitna struggling, 1 for his last 10. He's thrown 2 interceptions. 3rd down and 2. Kitna with a pump fake, and he's got Dawkins down there, and the ball is knocked away. It looked as if Dawkins had grabbed hold of the ball, but it is jarred loose, and it was defended there by Brian Kelly, the nickelback for the Buccaneers. So 4th down coming up.
Well, Kitna at that time had the time. They didn't come with a blitz. He knew where he wanted to go. He gave the pump. He stayed with it. Dawkins used the outside. See how he tried to force Kelly back inside? Now watch Kelly recover. Ball's right there, and he fought through it. Should have been caught, though.
Jeff Eagles will kick on 4th down, and Carl Williams deep for the Buccaneers.
Too many drop balls.
In a game where they're really critical in a close, low-scoring game. Bearcats called by Williams.
And they're supposed to be division leaders. That's what's upsetting to me, because you start looking around the league, and you say, okay, who are the good teams? And then, you know, these are they have the best records. That's got to be caught. Who are the best teams? The best teams have your better players. Better players make big plays. You just saw Riddell Anthony drop a touchdown. Now you have Sean Dawkins drop a big play. Can't do that.
Well, the Bucs have the ball with a 6-3 lead and 32 seconds remaining in the first half. Rough going thus far for John Kitna, but as we talked about before the game, this probably is the toughest defense that the Seahawks have faced all year. Started the game 8 for 13, but 1 of 11 since.
30 seconds, they're going to take a knee. Happy to go in with a 6-3 lead.
That's Tony Dungy's way.
Defense is playing very well. Just don't want the offense to screw it up. They'll keep it close and stay like this all the way through.
Dungy says if we don't make mistakes, we will be in the game.
He's not a happy guy, I guarantee that.
And that is the end of the first half here at the Kingdome with the score, the Buccaneers 6 and the Seahawks 3. Stay tuned for the Visa Halftime Report with JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Affair, but I've got to go back. The magic words by Howie Long at halftime. Dan Dornick. Why don't you explain, Matthew?
Dan Dornick, we were in a playoff game, and Kurt Warner had been hurt, and Dan Dornick was going to take his place, and all week long we were going to kill Dan Dornick. He can't do anything for us, so we put a special defense in, took a safety out, put an extra linebacker. We're going to crush him. Well, Dan Dornick is running wild on us in the middle of the game, and at the end of the game, Howie Long, exasperated, down in his stance, turned around and looks at me and goes, Dan Dornick just ran for 200 yards on us. And the whole defense started laughing.
It always happens that way. Right now, let's take a look at the halftime statistics. And there you see the edge to Seattle in both passing and rushing yards.
Yeah, and here. And that's the reason that these Tampa Bay Bucks have a shot, because of those 2 turnovers. And I think the other thing is John Kitna is seeing some pressure. And you listen to Chris Collinsworth at halftime, and one of the things he mentioned was the blitzing linebackers and Derek Brooks and Lynch and all those guys. He's getting pressure that he doesn't always see.
So Todd Peterson kicking off for Seattle, and Riddell Anthony returning for Tampa Bay, heading for the sideline and dropped at the 27. Right now, let's check in with Pam Oliver.
All right, Dick, very strange thing at the end of the half there. The Seahawks had already gone into the locker room, and Moss Holmgren was still standing around, sort of looking over the field. He seemed shocked and annoyed. and stunned. When he did walk over to me, he told me the Seahawks have got to do a better job protecting John Kitna. He said if it wasn't for the turnovers that they would have been okay. Tony Dungy, meanwhile, says what he says probably every week. The offense has got to get going and take advantage of what the defense is giving them. Back to you.
Yeah, it's like a broken record, Pam, as far as Tony Dungy's mantra each and every week. But his team has the lead, and a first down at the 28-yard line. Dilfer with the short drop and the pass, and it's Bert Emanuel, and it's incomplete, did not come down in bounds. Chris Candy was defending.
It's interesting listening rather, to the guys at halftime, and I think Terry Bradshaw makes a good point. Terry Bradshaw is talking about put Joey Galloway in the slot. And when you do that, that means you're going to have 3 wide receivers. And you have 3 wide receivers, that means that your third guy is better than anybody they can put on you. And I think that's a very good point. We'll see if they follow through with that here in the second half.
Second down and 10. Play action for Dilfer. He's being chased. And finally down, and it's Philip Daniels, number 93, who wouldn't give up. And that is the 4th sack of the game, and hurt on the field is Trent Dilfer. Slow getting up.
Frank Middleton just gave a swat in the rear end, so you're okay, get up.
And the backup quarterback is rookie Sean King, who Tony Dungy says will be a great one someday.
Well, the one thing that Trent Dilfer doesn't do real well is he doesn't have great movement. And you can see Phillips just came from the backside and gave him a pretty good one. He had to get on his horse and move again because there's nobody open down the field. Philip Daniels was able to smack him, and that will bring us Sean King, who they are not afraid at all to throw in.
Back here at Seattle, and Trent Dilfer on the sidelines, and Sean King, the second-round draft pick from Tulane, who has been the backup the last 3 weeks. And Eric Zier, who is the emergency quarterback, knocked out of action with a rib contusion. So here is King facing a 3rd and 15 on the 23. And he gives the ball to Warwick Dunn, and Warwick Dunn with the best running play of the day for the Buccaneers, but it's well short of the first down. Chad Brown making the tackle, and the Buccaneers will kick.
And Trent Dilfer waited to see exactly what was going to happen before he's going to take himself into the locker room where they'll look at him. Just speaking to the Buck coaches and management about Sean, they're excited about Sean King. And they were reluctant to do was throw him in. But now, hey, ready or not, here you come.
Mark Royals with the punt, and Charlie Rogers letting the ball bounce, and it takes a big Seattle bounce out of bounds on the Seahawks 44-yard line. So once again, Seattle's got good field position for John Kitna.
Now there's a Chevy Venture with flip and fold seats.
Who is 9 of 24 for 109 yards and 2 interceptions. Getting set to lead the Seahawks on their own 44. Trent Dilfer taken in for x-rays on his right shoulder. We'll have more when it comes across. But right now the Seahawks trailing by 3. Their first possession of the second half. Plenty of time, and the pass is complete to Reggie Brown out of the backfield, and Brown picking up about 6 yards, maybe 7 on the play.
The one thing that's been going on, and you heard Chris Collinsworth and the boys talking about it at halftime, lots of pressure on Kitna, and I think the point to make is clear. Mike Holmgren's familiar with this defense and the Bucs staff, but John Kitna is not. And so he's seeing all these pressure packages that he had not seen before. And that's an advantage to Tampa Bay.
And whistle, and the flags are down, as you saw the problems that Kitna has had against
Before the
Tampa
snap,
Bay.
ball start, offense, number 66, 5 yards, remains second down.
Pete Kendall, the left guard, and a 5-yard penalty. By the way, Damian Robinson, who went out earlier with a pulled left hip flexor, has returned to the Buccaneers secondary.
Yeah, but I'm watching him, and he's not walking right. And that's, you pull a hip flexor, that's really hard to play on.
Second down and 8. Amazing how the crowd silences when the Seahawks have the ball. The handoff to Ricky Waters, maybe a yard on the play. No gain. Derek Brooks once again in there. He's playing a big game.
He always does. Derek Brooks runs so well, and they play him properly. Listen, the sign of good coaching is real simple, is put the players in a position to do what they do best. Derek Brooks isn't a real big guy, and that 235 is stretching it. He doesn't take things on real well, so they cover him, and they let him just use that great speed and float the ball. I think that's a perfect match between scheme and player.
Has an interception, his 4th of the year. 3rd down and 8, and the pass is caught, and that's Joey Galloway with a first down to the 37-yard line. So Galloway, who hasn't had many catches since coming back to the team, grabs this for 18 yards, his first grab.
Nicely done. They just put him on the backside, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to run him down the middle. You saw Fourier, the tight end. That was a 3-receiver set. They had him to the tight end or the Z side, and so they take the inside guy and they run the middle clear and then bring him in behind.
On first down, here is Ricky Waters, and Waters picks up about 2 yards. Waters has gained 35 yards on 11 carries thus far today.
Dick, the other guy on this defense that's really a key is Hardy Nickerson, because Tampa Bay does something very different with their coverage. They will take their safeties and they'll play with the cover 2, and for those fans out there, splitting the safeties, splitting the deep in half. Then they take Hardy Nickerson and they run him right down the middle, very deep. And it's the only guy in the league I see who does it like that.
2nd down and 9. The pass intended for Fourier, incomplete, and it was
Derek Brooks was right there on top of it with a nice break.
So 3rd down coming up for the Seattle Seahawks. Talk about Tampa Bay's defense. First series of the game, the Buccaneers got a field goal on their opening drive, an impressive drive, but since then Tampa Bay has shut them down. 3rd and 9. Here comes pressure. 2 ways on Kitna, and the ball is loose, and it is recovered by Tampa Bay. That was a fumble and not a attempted pass.
I don't know if the flag came down. Again, more pressure like the boys talked about at halftime.
Derek Brooks again.
And it could be, if it wasn't tipped, it would be an illegal touch if it's a pass, because a lineman wouldn't be able to make that catch. You have to just knock it down. If it's a fumble, then he'd be okay.
Mike Carey.
The play was ruled a fumble. Therefore, there is no illegal touching by the offense. The ball is recovered behind the line of scrimmage. 4th down.
Well, just like the guys at halftime were talking about, it's pressure inside. And again, Derek Brooks does an excellent job of making a miss. They tried to block him. He gets through. Hardy Nickerson's also there. They brought Lynch, and then big sack.
Chris Gray very alertly grabbed the loose ball. So on 4th down, the Seahawks will kick. Jeff Eagles.
Good job of officiating with making a non-call.
Alert play by Gray. And looking for the block were the Buccaneers. And a fair catch called for by Carl Williams inside the 10. Eagles has done a terrific job punting today for the Seahawks. They have kept the Buccaneers pinned down. Next Sunday begins at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific with the pregame show. Redskins-Lions. There's the game starting at 1. Eagles and Cardinals, and a big win by the Cardinals today, man.
And all of a sudden, the Cardinals are right back in it, and they're doing it with solid defense, and they threw some points on the board against a tough Giant defense today. Surprised me.
Tampa Bay on the 9-yard line, and Mike Allstott, he hasn't been able to get loose with his power game. Picks up about 2 yards on 1st down.
You know, it's interesting how this Tampa Bay team was built, because I think they made a conscious decision a few years ago. In fact, I know they did, to not go and draft the awesome player and let everybody catch up. I think what Tony Dungy went out and got was good, solid players, and let that group gel and get better together, and then add somebody later.
4 wide receivers lined up, including Dave Moore, the tight end. It's 2nd and 8. And the pass by King, and let's see if it was incomplete is the call. It was intended for Riddell Anthony. Remember, Sean King replacing Trent Dilfer, who has come back on the field after x-rays on his right shoulder.
Take Riddell Anthony, put him on the sideline. It's 2 drops.
One was in the end zone.
What you can't overlook, however, is the throw. Look at the throw. Right there. I mean, it is picture perfect by Sean King. This ball's got to be caught.
Making his NFL debut today against Seattle. Allstott comes out. 3rd down and 8. And King calls timeout just as the play clock was winding down, preventing a 5-yard penalty or half the distance. So a timeout by the Bucs. We'll be right back. Much ado about fish. That's Mike Stevepack, who we know behind the counter.
Yes, we do. And that same fish that just swam by, I think we ate that last time.
3rd down and 8 on the 11 after the Buccaneers call a timeout. Pressure on King, and Warwick Dunn unable to handle that desperation toss as King was under big pressure that time by Chad Brown, among others.
Well, the Seahawks have their version of the blitzer, and it's Chad Brown inside. See how they do it? They try to run this way and isolate Chad Brown to the inside. Diaz, swing and a miss. 0-2.
4th down, and Mark Royals, he's been kicking this entire game from the end zone, but he gets off a beauty. Charlie Rogers leading the AFC in punt return, and a fine return into Tampa Bay territory to the 42-yard line, a return of 19 yards after Royals booted at 51 yards. Shelton Quarles on the tackle. Want to remind you that the injury to Trent Dilfer, his right shoulder, he went into the locker room, and he has not really come out yet, but before he went in for x-rays on his right shoulder, he indicated to our Pam Oliver that he was all right and hopefully would return. But Sean King seeing his first action, the rookie from Tulane.
Well, he needs help. Sean King's got to have help. He can't do it all by himself. Nobody can, obviously. And the help he needs, this guy's just hanging on to the ball.
And the give is to Ricky Waters with a fine run. Waters gets it to the 35 and inside the 35. Steve White after a gain of 8 yards. Ricky Waters with 12 carries, 42 yards, had 3 touchdowns last week in a big win against Kansas City as the Seahawks had been stymied at Arrowhead Stadium for many years before winning last week. And Damian Robinson slowly coming off. Shevin Smith goes back in for him. Handoff to Reggie Brown, and the upback gets the first down for the Seahawks to the 31.
This is Mike Holmgren's MO. You're having a little bit of struggle in your passing game, and they have been, and they've been coming after him with pressure. Well, now you shift down. You go back to your running game. You let those eyes just take advantage of some of the gaps that are up front.
Seattle has 30 more rushing yards than Tampa Bay, and here is Ricky Waters looking for more, but not to be, and a flag is down in the backfield as Marcus Jones does a good job of pursuing.
They were able to get to that outside because Steve White there, I believe, was held by Walter Jones.
There are 2 holding fouls by the offense. Number 86 and number 71. Number 71 fouls declined. Number 86 is accepted. 10 yards. Remains first down.
So Poirier called for the holding the foul that the Buccaneers accept, and it'll set him back 10.
You can't. The reason they're trying to still get outside, if you're sitting at home and you're wondering why they're doing that, you can't just turn into a hammer team all inside because they'll just load it up. At one point, you're still going to have to bounce it outside, even though the odds are on the Bucs' favor that they're going to run you down because they run so well.
How about Tampa Bay not penalized today? Seattle only with 4 penalties, but one knocked them out of field goal range, and perhaps the second as well. On first down and 20, trying to get a few back at a time. That's Poirier, and he is knocked out of bounds after a gain of about 2 yards. The Seahawks trying to extend their winning streak to 6 games in a row, and Tampa Bay trying to make it 4 straight wins for them and move back into a 3-way tie in the NFC Central.
It's interesting for me to watch how this game's going. They've been trying to get all those slants, and then the defensive backs have been jumping them. That's how they try to take advantage of the jump, by running the tight end behind them.
2nd and 19. Pressure on Kitna, and this pass is intercepted. That's the 3rd of the game by the Buccaneers. And it's Al Singleton who makes the interception. So 2 linebackers and a cornerback, and 3 picks against John Kitna today.
Well, you got a little bit more pressure again. You're going to watch right at the end, the safety right there, John Lynch. He showed up. Brad Culpepper's coming. Warren Sapp is right in his face, and that ball was not well thrown. In fact, it looked like it may even have been tipped. It came off of there funny. Yeah, he hit his arm. That's what happened. Sapp hit his arm, and the ball flopped out of there. And Singleton's able to come up with the pick.
And that is his first interception of the season, and it turns the ball back to Tampa Bay. As we said, the Kitna has not thrown more interceptions than TD passes at all this year, but he's in the -3. First down at the 39. Sean King going up top for Jacquez Green. And the pass is broken up, and good defensive play by Sean Springs. And right now, let's go down to Pam Oliver.
When I saw Trent Dilfer after he had the X-ray, he told me that he was fine. But the medical staff have a different opinion. They told me he has a broken right clavicle. We don't have any information on the recovery time for that at this moment. Back to you.
All right, Pam, thank you very much. So a broken collarbone sidelines Trent Dilfer. And the Buccaneer offense not had a first down since the first quarter, faced 2nd and 10. Mike Allstock. And the Seahawks have done a terrific job keeping Allstock from getting underway today.
Dick, the one guy who we haven't really spoken much about has been Sean Springs. We haven't said much about it because he's playing well. Sean Springs, they've been matching up outside. They're going to take away the deep threat. He's done that consistently all game long. You watch Sean Springs, and you almost, if you're not real familiar with him, you almost look like he's lazy at times, but he's not. He's so confident, and he's so smooth and gifted that he baits you, kind of like Dion. Doesn't have Dion's phenomenal speed, but he's not far off.
First round pick in 97. Now it's 3rd and 7, and the crowd decibels get a little louder. Sean King in trouble. Down he goes. Merton Hanks. Merton Hanks, who was signed after the first week of the season, the former San Francisco 49er who was let go by the 49ers, and how lucky it's been for him here.
Well, he's going to get blocked, and they get a big man on him, and he pushes him forward. Chad Brown collapses the pocket, but this sack really is nothing more than coverage. Merton Hanks just stays with it and comes back and makes the sack.
So Mark Royals will punt and gets off another beauty, but Charlie Rogers at the 22 on the return, and once again Tampa Bay's coverage has been exemplary today. That was Dexter Jackson.
Dick, the pocket has been collapsing all day. I think the next step for this Tampa Bay offense, you've got to move the pocket.
Good takedown by the Bucs. Bucs leading the Seahawks 6-3. Sean King making his debut with Trent Dilfer sidelined with a broken clavicle. Meanwhile, John Kitna and the Seahawks for the first down on the 31, and Ricky Waters charging out to the 35-yard line. John Lynch making the stop. Well, with the St. Louis Rams winning again, they can clinch the NFC West with a Carolina loss tonight. Minnesota undefeated since Jeff George has taken over as the starting quarterback in Minnesota, and the Arizona Cardinals, as you pointed out, sneaking up on people, Matt, with their 3rd in a row.
Same thing that happened last year with Arizona. They really started to come on at the end, and their defense started to solidify.
2nd and 6. Kitna gets hit, and the pass is incomplete. Sean Dawkins.
We have had more drop balls here today.
Defended that time by Brian Kelly, yes.
Again, same matchup. Sean Dawkins' second drop ball. Shouldn't happen. We've also seen early with Tampa Bay dropping balls. That's one of my pet peeves. You know, actually, I've seen a lot of drop balls, and I was a little behind them, but you know, I'll say this again. I repeat myself. The National Football League. Catch the ball. You're a big timer here.
Joey Galloway, who has caught one pass today, is back in the game for Seattle on 3rd down and 6. And here comes pressure in on Kitna, and never had a chance, rushed the pass to Reggie Brown, and that time it was Hardy Nickerson. They have sent 4 or 5 different people in on Kidna untouched today.
I think it's a very aggressive defensive play calling by Monty Kiffin. And this time, it's Hardy Nickerson. It's one of the linebackers. They've been blitzing with regularity inside, whether it's Nickerson or Lynch or Derek Brooks. They've brought somebody all the time, and they've come clean.
Carl Williams is back deep, and Jeff Eagles will kick again. This has turned into a punting contest today. And Williams is going to let the ball drop and out of bounds. So Tampa Bay will go on again, and I'll tell you, drop passes, a lot of opportunities going by the board.
Well, and probably the biggest one was right here. He had the pick play, and he was wide open for a touchdown. Del Anthony dropped it, and then later on, the Seahawks had a chance. Again, they had the matchup they wanted. Sean Dawkins just let it go through his hands. And the bad news for this game is that it didn't stop there. You know, it's not for a lack of work, and it's not for a lack of, going out and practicing and catching on. It's concentration. And those guys they work hard at it, and I understand. I respect them a great deal because you do work at it. But when you have your chance, you don't get a lot of them. When you get a chance, you have to make the play.
How about Tampa Bay? 1 yard since the first quarter.
Ouch. They'll double it right here.
Maybe handoff. No, they won't.
Maybe not.
And a loss. Warwick Dunn knocked back. And it was Antonio Cochran, rookie from Georgia, making the play for the Seattle Seahawks.
You know, Dick, there's 2 sides to every play. And you look at that, and if you're a Tampa fan, you're going, come on, block somebody, get some movement up front. But conversely, the Seattle Seahawks defensive front, they've manhandled this front. They've taken all that running game completely away, and they haven't really had to blitz that much to get pressure. They've collapsed the pocket. That's why I said you have to start moving the pocket.
2nd and 11 for Sean King in place of Trent Dilfer. Here is Warwick Dunn, and not much there as Chad Brown brings him down. And you're right, other than the drop passes, which were mistakes by the respective offenses, the defenses have controlled this game. They have been the keys today. Allstott, 12 yards gain on 7 carries. Warwick Dunn, 26 yards in all.
And I think that just goes back to the defense. And I think it's an excellent job of controlling the line of scrimmage.
So it's 3rd and long now for the Bucs. And the pass is intercepted, but a false start call will be ruled against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It'll be the right side of the offensive line, I believe, moved.
Before the snap, false start, offense, number 71, 5 yards.
Jerry Wunsch,
3rd down.
the right tackle. And that is the first penalty against Tampa Bay today, and it comes with 4 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter.
And it came with Sean Springs on the other end of that thing. You watch Wunsch, he moved too soon. And they were bringing the safety this side anyway.
Deep drop this time by King, and he drills it, and it's knocked down by Springs. Good defensive play on Jacquez Green. They have not been able to get Green on his long patterns today.
That's because Sean Springs has been matching up with him, and he's been a non-factor. And all this is doing is solidifying Sean Springs as one of the top corners in the league. You see how he was playing that? He was playing it from underneath. He had it on the other side as well because Bert Emanuel was open, but he was looking to the left side the whole way.
Mark Royals with the kick as Tampa Bay charging and looking for the block, and a late fair catch called for by Charlie Rogers at the 24-yard line. Well, tonight on King of the Hill, Hank's new best friend is Drew Carey, and then Marge is kidnapped by biker John Goodman on The Simpsons. And after an all-new Futurama, Lance Hendrickson guest stars on The X-Files. An all-new Fox Sunday tonight, starting at 7, 6 Central.
And there's some future guest stars on our X-Files show up here in Seattle. He's a Hawkhead.
These are enthusiastic fans, and they are heard from here in the Kingdom. So last year, the Seahawks will be playing in this stadium as Kitna completes it to Reggie Brown, who was out of bounds after a gain of about 5.
And I'm just sitting here thinking about Warren Sapp and kind of a quiet day. But I think one thing to remember about Warren Sapp, he had the flu early in the week and didn't practice. And that's kind of sapped him, no pun intended. And then the other thing is when you have a great player like that and you know he's always going to be double teamed, you use that for other people. And that's one of the things that's happening today. You heard Howie Long talk about it at halftime. You start using him to take the blocking away from him and free up the linebacker.
On 2nd down and 4, here is Ricky Waters. And several Bucks had a chance at him. He finally gets a 1.5 yards, and Brad Culpepper making the tackle. Well, let's take a look now at the AFC playoff picture with Jacksonville winning today, the Seahawks trailing but leading their division, and Indianapolis going against the Jets in a game underway. Tennessee in good position. And then there's a dogfight between Miami, Buffalo, New England losing today, and the 5-5 teams.
But you look at all those, every one of those teams can be beaten by any team on their schedule. You look at them, there's not a single team in this league right now that's a lock.
3rd down and 2, and Kitna's pass intended for Mays, and the 4th down coming up. And you look at Jacksonville's schedule, however, Matt, and the only team with a winning record that they play the rest of the way are the Tennessee Titans. Jeff Eagles coming on to kick it away. And there is Carl Williams.
You know, Dick, I'm right at the point now where I'm starting to think, you know, is this great defense or is this bad offense? You know, and I'm starting to, you know, this is not looking like very good offense. There's drop balls and, yes, missed assignments and guys coming clean. And
Eagles with the kick. And Carl Williams from the 30-yard line is dropped almost immediately. Well, these two teams entered the NFL in 1976, and they met October 17th of that year. John McKay, the head coach of the Bucks, Jack Patera leading Seattle in their first year. Steve Spurrier, the quarterback for the Buccaneers, and lefty Jim Zorn for the Seahawks. Seattle winning the game, their first win ever. It was the Bucks' 6th loss of the season. They went on to lose their first 26 games.
And you can see the Seahawks have had some success all the way to the point of getting to the AFC Championship where they were defeated by an outstanding Raider team.
Of course.
Maybe one of the best defenses. That was a great defense, that 83 Raider team.
You don't say so yourself.
Thank you very much.
Mike Allstott, and he had Kevin McLeod in front of him, so the power backs, you remember that Warwick Dunn had limped off earlier. Seattle with the longest drought of any team in the NFL getting to the playoffs. They haven't been there since 1988.
That may have been the Dan Dornick game when he stomped us. That may have been the Howie Long Dan Dornick game, that 1988 game.
I know Howie must wake up at nights thinking of Dornick.
Howard Matthew Moses Long is a great player. Hall of Famer.
2nd and 9. King. Jacquez Green with the catch, and he is hit immediately by Sean Springs, and that is the first catch by Green, who the last several weeks has been the big play receiver for the Buccaneers.
Well, and you know Seattle understands that, so Sean Springs has been all over him, and you're going to give him that comeback, and that's something you know you're going to have. It's there. You can't have a simple diet of it, but you don't want Jacquez Green running 8-yard comebacks.
Good matchup today. Green has been thrown at 5 times. 1 catch for 6 yards. Yep, Springs has done the job today. 3rd down and 3. Warwick Dunn in the game, has blocking in front, and Warwick Dunn with a great run. And the best of the day by either team gets into Seattle territory and a first down after picking up 17 yards.
It's just that same play. They're going to run it into the short side. Watch. Nice job by Wunsch, who's going to get Springs and open that thing up. And also Frank Middleton got himself a block. And that's where Warwick Dunn is really where he's the most dangerous, is when he's in the open field. There's two ways to get him in the open field. It's the short passing game, let him clear out, and then plays like this to get him on the edge.
And time running out here in the third quarter. And Warwick Dunn has not been used as a pass receiver coming out of the backfield much today. And Trent Dilfer coming back with the broken clavicle after the x-rays show that. And that is the end of the third quarter with a score. The Buccaneers 6 and the Seahawks 3. Fox NFL Sunday will continue right after these messages. And Trent Dilfer on the sidelines now, nursing the broken clavicle. And Sean King, the rookie from Tulane, with his baptism under fire in the NFL. 1st and 10 in Seattle territory, and the handoff is to Warwick Dunn, who just got the first down since the first quarter, and he picks up another one now inside the 35-yard line. So, man, in a game like this, back and forth, they go in defensive battle. What do you do to try to break out of it?
Well, I think two things. I think because both teams are getting pressure up inside, you have to start moving your pocket and make them have to chase you. And anytime you can get Sean King's mobility, and Kitten that doesn't have bad mobility, you start moving him, kind of buy a little bit of time with your feet, and then bring the receivers over to him. Then the second thing, which is you're seeing right now, Warwick Dunn is able to get to the edge. That's key.
First down at the 31-yard line of Seattle. Play fake this time by King, and he goes to Allstott as a receiver, and he's tough to bring down. Mike Allstott carries a couple of defenders, and Chad Brown may have been one of them inside the 10-yard line. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers with 3 straight first downs.
Well, it's a play-action pass, and the whole thing is predicated on a block out of Warwick Dunn. So they play action, and they sneak the fullback back underneath. And then you just let the power of Allstott take advantage of it. Watch this. See, they run him through, and then he's got a block right there. Excellent job by Warwick Dunn.
24-yard gain, and it's 1st and goal. And here is Warwick Dunn, and he's trying to go outside again, and he gets a few on the play. Darrell Williams, the strong safety, got a hold of Dunn's shirt, and it'll be 2nd and goal.
You know, this offense doesn't have the great movement up front, so it's not like you're going to be pulling a lot of people and getting outside for sweeps. This is an offense that's set up for inside running, pounding, then play action in the pass game. So if you want to get Warwick Dunn on the edge to use some of that open space, you have to create it with that kind of thing, or he has to create it himself.
And, you know, Matt, they're going with 3 tight ends now with Moore, Haight, and Davis on 2nd and goal from the 5. They put pressure on, and here is Mike Allstott down to the 1-yard line, and it'll be 3rd and goal from the 1. Darren Smith making the stop, so the Buccaneers 1 first down until in the first quarter, and then they pick up 3 in a row here in the 4th. Remember, Tampa Bay coming in with the worst touchdown percentage in the red zone in the NFL.
Well, this is just pure old-fashioned football. Tight line splits. You got a masher in the backfield.
3rd down and goal from the 2, and it's a play-action pass. And King, wide open for the touchdown, is Patrick Hayes. Well done. And the first touchdown of the game.
And a thankful Sean King. Just got done saying they went with the big guys, old-fashioned football to grind it out. And so you take that and you use it to your advantage. And you go with the play action, and you run right at the defense. You force them to commit in on you. And you can see Hayes just runs right by him. There's nobody on him. They drop the coverage.
And the first NFL touchdown pass by rookie Sean King in his first NFL game in relief of the injured Trent Dilfer. Martin Gramatica on the kick, the extra point, and the kick is good. And so the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, there's a flag down on the field, so let's hold the phone. Mike Carey.
Personal foul on the defense, number 96. Leverage, getting his feet on the opponent. 15 yards will be enforced on the kickoff.
That's Cortez Kennedy.
Timeout.
Getting leverage, stepping on the opponent.
But Trent Dilfer back on the sideline, seeing Sean King throw the touchdown passes, and the Buccaneers now lead 13-3.
What is my dream?
There's Sean King with his first NFL touchdown pass to give the Buccaneers a 10-point lead, and now they're marking the ball at the 45 following the penalty.
On Cortez Kennedy. Now, this is interesting how they're going to kick this ball off. I would
Martin Dramatic, I think he's looking for 3. He's looking for a long field goal from over 60 yards.
Yeah, but you just missed an opportunity to pin him down inside the 20. Here's the penalty you're going to watch right here, number 96. He's stepping on top. That's what they're going to call, using leverage. You can't use an opponent. So that's what they called, and that's 15 yards.
So the Seahawks have some work to do here, but they've plenty of time early in the fourth quarter. But the 10-point lead is a big lead considering the way the Bucs are playing defense in Baltimore.
And the way Seattle's been playing offense.
John Kitna. And out of the backfield, Reggie Brown breaks 1 tackle and gets about 6 yards before Donnie Abraham makes the stop.
Been a quiet day also outside for Joey Galloway, who's still not 100% in as you watch Sheldon Quarles come off.
Now Singleton replaces him.
But, you know, that's right over there. Right when he reaches right there, you can't make any plays over there. And part of that is, you know, they're slowly bringing him into the offense. But the other part is they haven't taken a shot down the field with him. 2nd and 4. There's the pitch to Ricky Waters.
Waters has a first down for the Seahawks to the 35-yard line. That was Hardy Nickerson on the tackle.
Hey, Walter Jones right there. Sheldon Quarles ran off. Alshon Singleton ran on. And then Walter Jones ran. Walter Jones is going to introduce himself. They're going to get this quick pitch, and then this is a little, what you call a pretty good block, okay? Just gave him a good old block, not once, but twice. Now Walter Jones is a pretty good tackle.
Pete Kendall, pretty good left guard as well, having a good year. First down. Here's Kitna, and Kitna goes down.
That's a fumble. It
Warren Sapp got it. Recovered. You're right. Warren Sapp made the sack and recovered the fumble for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He was hunting.
Yep. And
remember, he told us last night, if I get single block, me and the dogs are going hunting.
I guess he feels better from the flu, you say?
Oh, yeah. Well, he, you know, a little hunting trip will do that to a guy every now and then. So many times, as you watch Warren Sapp right here, you have a double team. Now, he doesn't have the double team. It's Brian Habib. And Habib had to single him, and Sapp took advantage of it. You heard Howie Long talking about Warren Sapp at halftime. And part of that great play is the awareness. One to bring him down, the other to slap it and then eat it.
4th turnover by the Seahawks today. First down on the 27 for Tampa Bay, and there is Simmons meeting Warwick Dunn head-on, and a loss of 2 on the play. But the 3 interceptions by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2 by linebackers, and then the sack and fumble recovery by that man, Warren Sapp. 4 turnovers, and Tampa Bay able to capitalize on 1 of the first 3.
Dick, so many times as a defensive lineman, a guy like that, you get doubled all the time. So when you get your single block, that's your opportunity to make a big play. He took advantage of it.
2nd down, ball at 13. On the draw play, Mike Allstott. And Allstott starting to get in gear now. Will be short of the first down by about 4 or 5. Anthony Simmons once again with the play.
You know, it's funny, just speaking with Mike Holmgren yesterday, he was saying, I know what's going to happen. They're going to try to keep it close, and they'll get a couple of points, try to get a turnover, it'll be close to the end of the... That's what Tony Dungy likes. And this is exactly what he's got. What he didn't expect, I believe, is right there.
3rd down and 5. Here is Warwick Dunn. And Dunn gets inside the 20-yard line. The other part of the equation, Matt, is the fact that Tampa Bay came in at a -12 turnover ratio, worst in the NFL, and now they're got a +4 as far as
it up.
Yep.
Yeah, well, when you get a guy, look, Warren Sapp still, he's reliving that thing over there. Boy, one thing about all the great pass rushers is they know exactly what they did and how it worked, and they file it in the back of their mind. And I think the other thing is they go through all the mental parts of it.
So a field goal attempt, Martin Gramatica, who has kicked 2 field goals today. This will be a 37-yard attempt, and this kick is good. So Tampa Bay capitalizing on the fumble and the recovery by Warren Sapp. He should smile, and it is now 16-3 Bucks. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have things their way, 16-3. And they have really dominated the second half of the game. In fact, ever since the first drive of the game, which resulted in a field goal, not a touchdown for Seattle, Tampa Bay's defense has really been key.
And they've been doing it all game long with a lot of pressure to the inside. And also, you know, they haven't been giving up anything deep. The majority of all the passes, remember at the start of the game, you said Kitna was going to have to be patient and follow the underneath ball. And he's had to do that. They haven't given him the big pass down the field. They've also gotten good pressure out of the blitzing game.
That's Ahman Green, who's back deep along with Kerry Joseph, and Gramatica kicking off, and it's heading over to Green at the 6-yard line. Ahman Green gets hit from behind and down at the 25-yard line. So the aggressive Tampa Bay defense in the game, putting big-time pressure on John Kitna. And Kitna getting intercepted 3 times, that one by Reggie Brooks. And then Trent Dilfer going out with what turned to be a broken clavicle in the 4th quarter. Rookie Sean King from Tulane coming in, hitting Patrick Haight with a touchdown. And Gramatica with 3 field goals. And as a result, the Buccaneers lead 16-3. And Tampa Bay had been the team making mistakes this season coming in, but they have really played a very clean game.
Yes, they have, and this Seattle team has not. And it's the turnovers, really, that's been the difference in this game. With field position, and it's been good defense. Not like Seattle has not been playing good defense. They have been playing good defense, but they need some help out of their offense.
Remember what Tony Dungy said yesterday about a quarterback, and he says the quarterback doesn't have to play great. He just has to play good enough, and that means don't make mistakes for his team to hang in there.
Well, and I think what he's talking about there really is this league right now, because we don't have a lot of great quarterbacks. We have pretty good ones. And we don't have the great guys. I mean, there was a time when we were phenomenal players. And Terry Bradshaw was a phenomenal player. I mean, there were guys like him through the league who could make big plays. And as we've moved on, yeah, the Elways and the Marinos.
Well, you got Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning is a tremendous breath of fresh air, because he's like a throwback guy, much like his dad was. Actually, he's more mature than his father.
Next week, Redskins and Lions. It's a big game between 2 teams that are at the top of their respective heats. Noon Eastern, 9 Pacific for the pregame show. That's the lineup. Packers and Bears in a rematch of their game played in the Green Bay.
Brad Culpepper. That's a tough guy. Just had himself a little boy. The judge. His boy's name. I said, it's not Matthew? He said, we'll get to that later.
Team almost didn't play today with a bruised heel. Culpepper deciding to play, and what did Warren Sapp say? There's no way he isn't going to be in there.
No, you got to have him. That's a very, very cerebral player. Understands all the things that are going on up there.
First down at the 25. John Kitna's pass caught by Sean Dawkins. And Dawkins gets just about to midfield, maybe shy by about 4 yards. Gain of 22.
Rondé Barber getting up there a little bit slow. But again, he's protected. The ball comes out clean. They throw the slant deep inside. One thing that Kitna's not doing a real good job of today, he's not looking things off. He's been looking where he's throwing a lot.
Barber comes out of the game, and Brian Kelly replaces him. On first down, here's Ricky Waters going outside. And a good run by Ricky Waters before Shevin Smith knocks him out of bounds, close to the first down at the 44.
I like the way Ricky Waters finishes the play, but I like the way it starts. Watch Reggie Brown with the block right there. Nice seal. And then use your speed to get outside. But watch how Waters finishes the play. Instead of going ahead and trying to run out of bounds, he just runs right through Shevin Smith. And Shevin Smith, he wasn't about to take a line down. He went right after him.
Anthony McFarland replaces Warren Sapp. 2nd and 1, and let's see if that second effort will be enough by Ricky Waters. It'll be very close.
That was well done by Al Singleton. The same play they've been getting that edge with, the fake inside and pitch outside. Singleton read it that time and just got outside and made the tackle. This is going to set up this 3rd down.
Ricky Waters going out of the game right now. Waters today 64 yards on 17 carries.
Big boys are in.
Brian Mills, Ahman Green, and the pitch goes to Green with blockers, and he's got the first down. John Lynch caught up with him, but not before the Seahawks get the first down close to the 40 of Tampa Bay.
I kind of like that Ahman Green. I think Ahman Green has to, once he figures out how to not fumble the ball, I think he's gonna have a bigger role in this offense because Mike Holmgren won't stand for that. But what he does do is he can finish a run. You're gonna watch him following Milne right here, number 44. But then watch the leg strength, and he stays nice and low. Dip the shoulder, keep the legs moving forward, and pick up the first.
Ricky Waters back in the game. First down at the 40, and Kitna throws the ball away. Good coverage downfield by the Buccaneers secondary.
Good coverage all the way down.
3rd down.
They're going to work, and then Sean Dawkins is the guy he was looking at over there, and Kelly was working on him. Then he started to buy a little bit of time. He had to look for Derek Mays, but again, Hardy Nickerson. Look at the great drop by Nickerson in the middle of that zone. That's what I was talking about earlier, Dick. No other linebacker, inside linebacker in the league, gets that kind of drop.
He's been all over it downfield, and he's been putting pressure on as well. And now John Kitna has to call a timeout, and that is unfortunate for Seattle because they're trailing by 13. That's their first timeout of the second half. Ruled against Seattle, and the pass is caught at the 39 by Reggie Brown. That'll bring up 3rd down and still long, gain of 2. As that one, I'm baffled because Kitna did call a timeout.
He called the timeout, and they awarded him a timeout, and then all of a sudden they came back in.
And so did we.
Yes, we did. No way we're going to take that fake, let me tell you. No timeout. There's still 3 up on the board. Clearly, Kitna got down to the play clock and called the timeout, and they got away with something there.
Rondy Barber has returned to cornerback for Tampa Bay. 3rd down and 8. Oh, and Kitna being chased, and this pass to Fourier, incomplete, did not stay in bounds, so it'll be 4th down coming up, and Chidi Ahanatu put the pressure and really chased Kitna out of the pocket.
Sean Dawkins, watch up here, comes up, and Brian Kelly misses the jam, and he's wide open, and it's 6 points all over the place, but he couldn't get his eyes to him and dumped it off underneath.
He was being chased to the other side of the field by Ahanatu. So 4th and 8, and the Seahawks down by 13 and just under 6 minutes to go in the 4th. So forth, they're 0 for 4 in 4th down conversions this year. And Kitna looking for somebody and lost it, and it is intercepted. Brian Kelly on the interception. The 4th of the game for the Buccaneers, and he brings it back into Seattle territory, and that is the 5th turnover of the game.
See Mike Holmgren there, Dick?
Yeah, what's he saying?
What he's saying is, this is going to happen. He understands that John Kitna is going to go through these days, and today's one of those days. And so you want to get all the bad stuff out while you can.
I think he's doing just that. 5 to go, and the defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing perhaps the game of the season, because this is the first time they have played a team with a winning record. The 8-2 Seattle Seahawks. John Kitna with his first career 4 interception game. Tampa Bay with 5 turnovers, and in control of this game with 5:45 to go. And you can name just about everyone on that defensive unit, Matt. They've all contributed.
Played phenomenal game. They really did. They started early, and they stayed with it all the way through. And what that's going to do is going to give them a nice long flight home. And you'll be able to relax and enjoy it because that's about a 6-hour flight back there.
Tampa Bay came in with the worst turnover ratio, -12 in the league, and he's a +5 in one game. First down, Sean King at the 49-yard line, hands off to Mike Allstott, and Allstott gets about 7 yards and all. This was the first interception of the game. That was Donnie Abraham, and then Derek Brooks picked one off, and then Kitna's floating ball picked off by Algermond Singleton, and then Brian Kelly with the interception, plus 1 fumble recovery, and there you have 5 turnovers and a smile on the face of Tony Dungy. So 6 takeaways in the first 7 games, 13 in what could be the 4th straight win by the Bucs. 2nd down and 6, Allstott, and he gets the first down and more inside the Seahawks 40.
And you know, John Kitna, there's going to be days like this. And the key to these games for a young quarterback is to grow from them. You know, everybody goes through these things. Every great quarterback has, every great quarterback will. But what you have to be able to do is go back, see why you did it, grow from it, and move on. And he'll do that. And I think that's what Holmgren will, that's why he's such a good teacher, because he'll use this as a teaching tool.
Interesting that the Seahawks have struggled in 2 home games against NFC Central teams, losing to Detroit in the opener and trailing to Tampa Bay here. Allstott. It's interesting that Allstott has had a problem fumbling this year, and they're going to him as a workhorse here. In the NFC Central, Buccaneers just 4 minutes away from creating, again, a 3-way tie for the lead in the division with the Lions and the Vikings, both who won this week.
Now the key for Sean King, as you're looking at, see him right? What he's doing is he's being aware of that 40-second clock. The guys are in a huddle and they're looking at it. They want to try to get to the clock with about 10 seconds at the line of scrimmage. That's about right. Now let it go. If you snap it at about 2 seconds. Just it by 3.
Here is Allstott. Flag is down. And the clock stops. 3:31 remaining. And the penalty will be against Tampa Bay.
There's a man who we still haven't defined how they're going to use him here in this offense.
Holding. Offense, number 64. 10-yard penalty. It remains 2nd down.
George Diaz. And, you know, Galloway, for his 101-day holdout, you know, you're not going to come back and be like you were right away in the first few games.
Yeah, I mean, he was playing flag football, so maybe Ryan Leaf could throw him a couple of balls. You know, things work out. But he's a football player. And that's what I'm interested to see, because this offense, from Bill Walsh's system all the way through, they've never had a Joey Galloway speed-like guy. They've always been trying to draft and get that guy, but this is the first time the system's really had that guy.
2nd down and 18. Here is Allstott. Trying to hold on to the ball, if nothing else. Darrell Williams grab a hold of him. It's interesting what Galloway told us about his holdout. He was back in Ohio, in Bel Air, Ohio. It didn't seem to bother him that much that he wasn't seeing the action, but when he came in to sell his house and check on his home, and he saw some of his teammates, that's when it first got to him. Timeout. We'll be back with 3:22 to go. But plenty to smile about, because his team is leading 16-3 after the Seahawks timeout. 3rd down and 14, and Mike Allstott will lose a yard on the play. Canty and Brown for the defense, and a timeout again called by the Seahawks, leaving them with 1. Again, next week's schedule, pregame show begins noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. The Redskins and the Lions. And it's going to be a big game between the 2 division leaders. Lions, of course, tied with 2 other teams. Packers and Bears, 49ers, Bengals, Rams, and Panthers. What about the Packers? You know, and the Bears gave Detroit a big fight. Very tough game, beating Green Bay the first time around.
Yeah, and they got beat up there on Turkey Day game against the Lions team that's starting to score some points. And they don't really have the great running game, but these are the guys right here, and you can see John gave them that turkey leg award. And Gus Frerotte threw the ball well. Charlie Batch they'll have back. Johnny Morton. Greg Hill ran well. They need to have him consistently run. Robert Porcher coming off the edge. Boy, Larry Peccatello, their defensive coordinator, really called himself a good game on Thanksgiving.
And he's done that many times this year.
Yes, he has.
Rams.
I think he's having just a wonderful year.
4th down and a punting situation now, as Mark Royals will kick, and back deep is Charlie Rogers. Royals with the kick. And the Buccaneers unable to keep it in play. And that was Dexter Jackson trying to do it to no avail. So they'll bring it out to the 20. Again, the AFC playoff picture. Jacksonville with 1 loss.
And here's a team right here that's kind of interesting because they play good defense. They have big play defense. Offensively, they have the capability with Eddie George and Lorenzo Neal to really pound it down your throat. But it doesn't look to me like they're really settled in that thing. But when with Aaron McNair, with Steve McNair back and his ability to run and buy time, that's really helped.
Colts are leading the Jets 13-6 and are on the brink of victory. So they will go 9-2 on the year. Here is Kitna and the pass to Fourier, and he goes out of bounds, stopping the clock with 3 minutes to go. And the Colts did win. So the Indianapolis Colts continue the magic with the Peyton Manning, Edgerrin James, and Marvin Harrison. Then you look at a triumvirate similar to Aikman, Irvin, and Smith.
Not only that, there's 3 of them there who play pretty good.
Yeah, well,
one thing about Indianapolis, Dick, you talk about triumvirates, is the fact that they may not be the best team yet, but they're the most exciting.
2nd down and 3. Kitna's pass caught by Sean Dawkins. Dawkins has caught 4
and dropped 2.
That's right.
And that's a point to make. Because we're down, we're talking at 16-3 here, and clearly they had a chance with catchable balls to be right in the middle and really dictating the pace of the game, which is where they like to be. That's where Holmgren's offense works best.
Keep in mind, Riddell Anthony also dropped a pass, and that was a touchdown pass. We've had many drops earlier in the game, and so now the clock stops on the spike with 2:40 remaining in the 4th.
Sean King has been able to play because of this play right here. Trent Dilfer with a broken clavicle. And, you know, broken bone, it's going to take some time. Usually 6 to 8 weeks is what they usually throw on him.
2nd and 10 at the 46-yard line. Kitna, again under pressure, gets this one off to Waters. And he goes out of bounds. It'll be 3rd down and about 10. And it was Donnie Abraham who knocked the Waters out of bounds.
You know, Dick, at 2.5 minutes, you're really only 2 plays away. If you can score here and get the ball back, you can score. This game is not like it's out of reach. There's no question they have themselves another timeout plus the 2-minute warning. It's 16-3. If you can punch it in the end zone here, you still have time. In fact, well, you'd have to kick it because you only have 1 timeout. You'd have to kick the onside kick.
The only thing really against them is the fact that the Buccaneers uncharacteristically don't give up those big plays the way their defense has been. But you never know. Kitna's pass intercepted off a deflection.
That's the game.
Rondy Barber out of bounds. And it was tipped by Brian Kelly into the hands of Rondy Barber. And that is the 5th interception of the game by Tampa Bay and the 6th turnover by Seattle. So in a defensive strong team, this has been their best showing.
Well, not a good throw again. Nice job out there by the corner to force him outside. Very well done underneath by Barber. That's excellent play by Barber. By Brian Kelly. That you don't get better than that. He forced his receiver wide, and Derek Mays, a nice job by Mays to come back and make a tackle. But he forced him wide, bought some time, then tipped the ball, and Barber was right there.
That's his 2nd interception of the year. Coming into this game, the Bucs had 10 interceptions on the year. They have 5 in this game.
I give the game ball to all 11 of them on the defense. And Monty Kiffin for calling the kind of game that he called.
Good idea. Oh, Mike Allstott, and that is the Mike Allstott that the Bucs have seen the last couple of years with a power run, and Terry Joseph making the tackle close to the 1st down.
Didn't have himself 5 picks. Then all 5 of those throws, they were bad throws and bad decisions.
2-minute warning here in Seattle. We'll be right back. In the game, and Rondy Barber with all smiles, as all the defensive players should have after the interception and 43-yard return. So Seattle came in plus 10, 3rd in the league, turnover ratio -6 today. 2nd down and 1 at the 9. And a quarterback sneak with Sean King. And that's close to the first down. This is a Tony Dungy textbook football game. If he could bottle this one, he would bring it to every stadium.
Well, I think what he'd want to bottle is defensive play, and I think he'd like to bottle the way that it went in terms of keeping it close and keeping his game in, especially on the road. But I think he'd like to break the bottle with the way his offense played at times, because clearly the inside of that offensive line has got to play better. They have to be able to pass protect as well. Mike Holmgren would just as soon forget this thing ever happened.
But offense has been really the Achilles heel for Tampa Bay for several years now. Third down, and Sean King gets close to the first down. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, it's King of the Hill as Hank's new best friend is Drew Carey. Then Marge is kidnapped by biker John Goodman on the Simpsons, I should say. And after an all-new Futurama, Lance Henriksen guest stars on the X-Files. An all-new Fox Sunday, except on the West Coast, where these shows will be seen at their regular time.
You know what happened? You get that guy with the long hair, and you just start a sample. And there was two of them, so that would be the sample.
That's very good. Exactly what happened, Matt.
Goes through my mind all the time.
First and goal. And under a minute to go. Today's game produced by Richard Zients, directed by Artie Kempner. The associate director, Greg Scope.